Any broken bones in your life?
No, we were blessed with my mum's solid bone structure.
Right
I
on.
mean,
That's good.
yeah, I think I've never broken anything. I fell down a lot. I mean, if there's a hole, I will fall down it. Rabbit holes where they've been digging. I've been, when I lived in Kingston, London, I was walking home from the pub and I still fell down the hole where they'd actually cordoned it off, where they'd been digging up the pipes. 12 at night, sprained my ankle, crying out in pain, you know,
Oh dear.
hobbled home. So, no broken bones, thankfully.
That's
Yeah.
good. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
There you go. Doesn't necessarily have to be a celebrity, but if you could bring anybody back to meet them, who would it be?
God, this is a really difficult one. I know Hobby was on about Elvis, wasn't he?
He did say that, yeah. Did a rather poor Elvis impression. I'm just saying that, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah,
The reality is.
Do you know? I've no clue. Do you know that thing where they say, "Who would you invite 6 people to a dinner party?"
Yeah.
Live or dead. I've always, I think Gandhi, to be honest.
That's
Gandhi
fair.
was top of that. So I know it sounds all kind of, but the reason I like Gandhi is because he came to Horwich when he came on his grand tour of Britain, and he went up Rivington. He went to the barns up Rivington.
Really?
Yeah, because he came looking. He wanted to come and visit the mills in the northern towns, and he came to Bogton and he came up to Rivington and stuff like that. Showed him because it was probably in the early 30s, I think it was when he did this.
I got to make a note of this.
And there's a picture of him outside the top barn up Rivington, and he then went up to Blackburn and to see the mills up there, kind of thing. And he was supposed to have stayed in a posh hotel in Blackburn. That seems a bit of a stretch now, a posh hotel in Blackburn or wherever it was.
Outside of Blackburn.
Yeah, it would be. But he said he wanted to stay with one of the mill families. So in this tenement block, where they've got flats and stuff, 3-story with a balconies at the front, always. He stayed in one of those rather than go to a hotel. So he stayed with the family.
Nice.
And I thought that's someone who did it, because there's a lot of virtue signalling. Do you know what that means? Where people are tell people what they're doing to make themselves look good, for charity and stuff like that. And there's a lot of it, virtual signalling going on at the time. Celebrities do it all the time, that they donate something and it gets released to the papers and stuff like that. They all do it, and and there's people who do charity work even at a local level, and they do it for the wrong. If you need to tell people you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
For me, Gandhi was, he's someone who did it all for the right reasons. I'd love to just sit down and have a chat with him, kind of thing. I don't do celebrity. I think, to be honest, I think the vast majority, 99.999% of celebrities are assholes. I do not like them.
I don't know a lot of them, really,
Yeah.
but the ones that I do know, they're not. But I'm lucky, I guess, because
Yeah, I think the thing is, for most of them, becoming famous is a corrupting influence. It's like power, money, corruption, kind of thing. And I living in London, I've been fortunate to meet quite a few famous people. I even knocked over Kylie Minogue in Soho, walking round a corner. She was coming the other way. She was walking towards Sony Studios in Covent Garden. The agency I worked for was across the road, and I walked past and I bumped her, knocked her on her ass.
Did you really?
Yeah. I didn't know who she was, and I'm picking her up. I said, "Oh, really sorry," and I'm just looking at her, and I'm thinking, "God, you're quite cute." And it was only until she started speaking, said, "It's all right," I said, I wasn't looking where I was going either, kind of thing. And I suddenly realised it was Kylie Minogue. And she just totted off. Little cute. I couldn't believe how tiny she was,
You knocked her off her feet.
Yeah. So, I've had lunch with Debbie Harry.
Nice. How's she?
Yeah. She was actually quite nice, the thing is, I think it was at the time when her husband had died, and I used to work in this fantastic place in London called the Royal Victoria Building, and she was. Do you remember the Thompson twins?
Yeah, the three of them.
Well, yeah. Well, Alana Curry and Tom Bailey got married, and they had a little kid, and they used to live in this building where I used to work, and it's called the Royal Victoria Patriotic Building, and it's got quite a history, but it's broken into businesses, a drama school, and an apartments, and they lived in one of the apartments, and they had a studio there, and they were, when she first came back after looking after her husband, who died or something, they produced her first single.
Was that Maria?
I can't remember, to be honest. We're talking about 94 here, kind of thing. So, 93 time, 92. I lose track of that because, to be honest, I was so drunk most of the time, I can't remember. I used to finish and go straight to work and sleep underneath the conference table, mate.
Nice.
Yeah. So what other questions have you got?
I sat next to Bryan Adams on a plane once, but there you go. Okay. Favorite holiday destination?
Oh,
now, you've traveled quite a bit, so
yeah. I mean, the thing is, most of my travel is being business
through work. Yeah,
I spent 3-4 months in Australia, and I circumnavigated Australia.
Wow.
I landed and stayed with Martin. Do you remember Martin Langshaw?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I stayed with Martin, and then I went from Martin, and I just drove up the west coast up to Darwin, kind of thing. Was it Darwin? Yeah, Darwin, and then I just visited some incredible places. There was one place in particular. It was called Whalebone Cove, and it was just the most beautiful. I mean, no one around, because you had to drive off quite a few kilometres to down this horrible little track. It was beautiful.
Wow.
And I spent 2 nights there. Just got lots of wine in in my little camp. Well, it wasn't little; it's quite a big one, kind of thing. And the second night, I was up on a hill overlooking the coastal thing. The sun was setting, and someone turned up. So I toddled down, and it was this old guy, and he was one of those guys who travelled around Australia doing handy jobs, kind of thing.
Okay.
And, yeah. And then, all of a sudden, another one turned up. I thought, bloody hell, so much for tranquility.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be these 2 university students from France. Who just finished, and they were going on a trip round thing. So there was me, this old Australian, and these 2 beautiful French students, right? And we just had lots of wine. He had lots of steak and stuff like that, and we just had a fabulous time.
Nice.
But ultimately, I think the Maldives. I was lucky.
Interesting.
To the Maldives, and it is one of the most beautiful places. And I just spent all my time, diving, snorkel and flippers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Watching everything. I just loved it, kind of thing. So, and the best thing was it was actually run by Italians, the resort.
Oh, wow.
We had beautiful Italian food, because
wow.
Moldavian home-cooked food is horrible. It's disgusting.
Good to know. I'll probably never taste it, but that's good to know.
Yeah, but yeah,
I definitely won't.
Yeah, but there's all kinds of little places. I was taken to Stockholm for my birthday by my ex, and she didn't tell me where it was. And literally, I was in the airport, before I realised where we were. Bloody big sign, do you know where I am?
Yeah.
She got bored of it, asking me where I was, kind of thing. So where we're going. But Stockholm is a beautiful city. I love that. I love Norway and Iceland. Those kind of places. I like the cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iceland is apparently incredible. I've heard nothing but positive stuff about it.
That's on my bucket list.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely.
Someone else that we know did a driving tour around Australia because she was working over there, actually, but her trip meant that she had to go around all of Australia, was Sharon Latham. You remember Sharon?
Yeah, that rings a bell, yeah.
Well, she is the photographer for, which one is not the arrogant one, the really arrogant one, the Gallagher brothers?
There's
Liam.
Yeah.
He seems like a decent guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. She's the tour photographer for Liam Gallagher, but she was touring around taking pictures of him at all his gigs while he was opening for U2.
Right.
So the stories, I would love to get her on here because the stories she would be able to tell would be fascinating too, I'm sure. Favorite movie?
Christmas Carol.
Yeah?
The original. 1930s one. Yeah.
All right. Do you have pineapple on your pizza?
I'm not a big pizza fan unless a proper Italian makes it.
So you don't like? What about
all the takeaway? It's all crap on them. I like them when there's proper ingredients on there. And if it was pineapple, put it on there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you would eat it?
Yes, I would. Yeah. I like pineapple. I love pineapple anyway.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even if it was from West Houghton?
No, I don't do frozen pizzas.
Attaboy.
No.
Real or fake?
What do you mean by that?
Christmas trees.
The funny thing is I've never had a Christmas tree. Because when I was sharing houses, we used to go away in London, used to go away home, so no decoration. When I moved in with my girlfriend, we got 2 cats, and didn't last long, the Christmas tree. We had that, so we never had a Christmas tree again, kind of thing. So I've never had a real Christmas tree kind of thing to this day. But if I was getting one, it would be a second-hand fake one from the 70s.
Oh, the silver ones?
Yeah, no, the greeny,
okay.
the have green ones. Because I don't like all these fancy, they're all like coordinated white lights and stuff. I like, loads of colour on a Christmas tree, lots of tinsel. Do you remember where you used to live with Lorna? There used to be St Mary's Club.
Right behind it.
Yeah. And the girl who used to run it before it got closed down, Sue, she's the manager of the bowling green now. And she put up a Christmas tree. And to this day, it's the best Christmas tree I ever saw because it reminded me what all Christmas trees looked like when we were kids.
Yeah.
It just looked like she'd been drinking and just decided to throw everything on. But it just looked perfect. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't believe in, I think real Christmas trees, they're not very environmentally friendly.
No, it's I forget who it was. One of the people that I talked with says, it takes 30. Oh, it was a guy named.
Years.
Pardon?
28 years.
It takes. Well, he said 30 years.
Yeah.
It was a guy named Jay Kemp. If you get a chance, watch his interview. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But he said it takes 30 years to grow a Christmas tree for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
It's such a shame when you think of it like that, but.
It's just insane. I mean, as kids, we never had a real Christmas tree. We always had a fake one.
You remember you put them in the wooden, the pegs in the slots?
Yeah, and the chocolates. Let's just say the chocolates in our house never lasted very long.
No.
And we became very inventive because we used to unwrap them and take a bite out of them and
Yeah.
wrap them back.
Yeah. Still happens in this house. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
The same with walnuts. I crack them and keep the shells in half.
Yeah.
So then I can glue them back together and people will get empty walnuts.
Yeah. Well, I used to have a house I used to own down south. Had a walnut tree, and
Okay.
I used to get about 40 barrel loads of walnuts off it. It was
Wow.
It was massive.
Wow.
It must have been easily about 120 years old at least.
Is that right?
Tree, yeah. And I used to leave the wheelbarrows outside with a little collection box, Marie Curie, a charity thing. People would just collect them. And one time, one of the local little ruffians, because I lived in this little hamlet, decided to nick my wheelbarrow with all my walnuts and take them into the village and sell them in
Little
pocket
bastard.
money. Yeah. But he wasn't very bright. He decided to get a scooter license when he was of age.
Oh no.
And it's called a CBT. You cannot fail a CBT. He did. And I asked him, how did you fail it? He said, when he came out of the thing, there's a big roundabout. He went around the wrong way of the roundabout and hit a bus.
Bloody hell. Because buses are small enough that you don't see them coming.
Yeah, a big double-decker bus.
Yeah.
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was, yeah. So.
All right. Well, takes all kinds to make a world. If you could have one do-over in life, meaning you could do anything again, what would it be?
Try and have children.
Yeah, you would have kids? I got to tell you, they're a hell of a lot of work. A hell of a lot of work, a lot of heartache, a lot of stress, but they're so worth it. And I don't mind to make you feel bad that you didn't by saying that.
No.
But
I've got nieces and nephews, right? And I torment them. I would have been the tormentor, Dad. Me.
Yeah.
I would have been getting them into all kinds of stuff. Like my niece and nephew, when they went to Rivington, I used to pick them up from school. I'd drive up the drive, and I'd sit there, and I had a Land Rover Discovery, and I have all the windows down. And as they were walking down, I put some music on, and it was either Take Me to a Gay Bar, right, or Nelly the Elephant.
Nelly the Elephant, yeah.
So you remember walking down the drive, and there's hundreds and hundreds of children walking down.
Yeah.
And this is blurring out my car. I'm sat there. So they get in the back. I've turned off the
window controls
when it's coming up. So they just have to sit there, and I'll just sit there with this blurring out. And my nephew, niece, God, she stopped. She used to walk past. And,
really?
Yeah. Sometimes she go. But yeah, it was. These kids would be definitely it, because I did. I missed an opportunity. People say you're still older. You still can have kids. No, you can't. I mean, I don't remember the dad who's at the children's primary school when the mums are stood there and says, "Is that your granddad?"
Yeah, yeah.
And you need energy to look after kids as well.
Yeah, you do. They take a lot out of you.
Yeah,
but they're so worth it. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I've got so many friends who've got some fantastic kids. My last partner, she had absolutely, her children were stunning.
Yeah,
absolutely loved them to bits. Kind of thing. And and you get not all kids are horrible. You can always work with them, kind of thing. So,
yeah. All right. Favorite show to binge watch?
I think I'm doing it now.
I appreciate the endorsement.
I hated it. I just hated all the kind of everyone talking about it and stuff like that. It just didn't appeal to me. And then in a fit of desperation 2 weeks ago, I started watching Game of Thrones. And it's hard work to put it down.
Yeah, I know. I was the same way.
Yeah, it's just incredibly well read, well written. the character, you name it, on every level, the authenticity of uh, the brutality of those times, you know,
Yeah.
The way women were treated. Women weren't people; they're objects.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and that comes through, and incest, and all that kind of stuff.
It hasn't necessarily gone in all cultures though either. So,
Yeah.
and that's the scary thing in
Yeah.
this
Well,
day and age.
porridge is a classic example of that. Like I said to you before, late at night you can hear a little banjo going. Ding, 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 ding.
Keep in mind, you represent these people in some level, eh? So.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, yeah. I think they all vote Labour.
Yeah, yeah. Do you play any musical instruments?
I don't know if you remember when we were at primary school, I started to play the violin, and I played it for about 4 years, and was as bad at it the day I started as was the day I put it down.
All right.
I was appallingly bad at it. It's just like, and eventually they just took the violin off me.
Is that enough of this?
Yeah, I think it was in Mr. Summer's year I started playing it, and I played it into the second year at Rivington.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you when sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is, I love music, but I don't have not the ear. I think it's connected to, my autism and dyslexia or whatever, that I can't grasp the mechanics. I think it's reading music as well. I think the inability to read music was just profound. I just couldn't read it, My mum used to hate Three Blind Mice.
Because that's the only thing you played?
Yeah, she probably said to me, Dad, I'll name that tune in one.
I'll name that tune in none.
Yeah, appallingly. I wish I could, but I've just not got the ability to do it, kind of thing. So,
well, I remember when we went up to Rivington. Well, when we went to Rivington, we were forced in the first year to take a musical instrument, and it's the only time I ever swore at a teacher. They made me take clarinet, or I asked to take clarinet, but it ripped the hell out of my bottom lip because you play with a reed, and it did something to my lip. And the teacher was an asshole. He was a real mean prick. I can't remember his name, but he wasn't a regular teacher at Rivington.
They had a couple of them come in. There was a woman like that, and they were employed on a freelance basis.
Yeah, but this guy was he was an absolute dick, and he used to call me Sonny Jim all the time. Mm-hmm. And I got so mad the last class, I said, I hate this class, I hate you. Fuck off, Sonny Jim. And I walked out. That was the last time I saw him.
Yeah.
Favorite band?
A band called Love.
Love.
In the 60s, yeah. I heard them when I was at art college, and their album Forever Changes, and I just loved it. It's an album I always go to, kind of thing, and it's that kind of 60s hippie tune type thing.
Yeah,
but it was voted at one time. The Forever Changes was actually voted years later as the best album ever produced.
Really?
Yeah.
And the band,
people have actually heard about them.
I've never heard. The band's name was Love.
Love, yeah.
All right, I'll check that out.
Yeah,
I love music myself, so I'll check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the only music I cannot stand is rave music. I hated rave music. There was something that got me in the back of my head where it sort of resonated, where I wanted to murder people.
It's that.
Yeah.
Best concert you ever went to?
God, so many.
Did you ever see U2 live?
No, I was a massive U2 fan though. A massive U2 fan. Um, one of the best ones, funnily enough, was where I was a security guard, and it was at Wembley Arena, or was it Wembley? I can't remember. I think it might be Wembley Arena, and it was Michael Jackson.
David Hobson said the same thing, but his was in Leeds.
Yeah, and what it was in between when I was at Salisbury during the summer, I went to London and to work as a security guard, and I worked literally, no word of a lie, 24 hours a day, 6.5 days a week, and that half day I used to go to my auntie's, wash in Thornton Lee or something like that, and wash me uniforms and then go back, because they used to put me on sleepers at night so I could sleep and then go on, because I had to make loads of money so I could go back to art college, because we weren't very rich, our family.
Yeah.
I think my dad's were, if you want to go to art college, you can pay for it yourself, kind of thing. And when I was up there, I did all kinds of things. I was at Wimbledon, I did hospital, A&Es, and I did Wembley Arena when Michael Jackson. So this would have been about between 88 and 89, I think, that summer. Or the summer of 88, that was it, summer of 88. And we all had to walk him from his big dressing room onto stage and then filter out where we actually could stand. So I'm right up at the stage on a slightly raised platform, so on my chest. And my job was to face the stage, not face just
Oh, no way.
anyone. Yeah, because if someone run on, it was my job and about 100 others to jump on the stage and drag them off. And I used to be a massive Michael Jackson fan, and there was me and a girl who set up at Rivington the official Michael Jackson fan club. Do you remember going to the Sunday disco?
Yeah, at the Leisure Centre. Well,
Yeah.
see, no, I remember going to the Saturday morning pictures.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but I did go to the Sunday disco a few times.
Yeah. And there was me and a girl, it's on the tip of my tongue, her name, and I made these little cards, and I've still got it in my box somewhere where I made these members cards, and I gave her. But then when all this kind of stuff about him being a funny child molester, it just
Alleged
child molester kind of thing. And he was never proven guilty, but he sullied the, because I do love, I liked his music in the early days.
Yeah.
Up till probably about 90. Everything else, I just didn't like that genre of music he was doing, kind of thing. But yeah, that, and what was the other one I went to? The Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones, wow.
Yeah.
Which was that their final tour?
I got a free ticket from a friend. She was an old college friend, Charlotte Christie, really posh. I mean, really, really posh. Posh in the Queen she was. And it was probably mid-90s or something like that.
Wow.
It was at Wembley. I can't remember what it is, because the thing is with me, with music, I can't remember the bands, can't remember the lyrics or the songs or the albums. I'm useless. I can't retain that information.
Yeah.
But I do love music, everything from rock to classical. If I'm in the mood, Gregorian chants.
I don't want to know what mood that would be.
Yeah, but we used to do a lot of concerts, like the summer concerts, Tea in the Park in Glasgow, Glastonbury. I did Chelmsford, Virgin.
The festivals, right?
Chelmsford, yeah. Because I used to do a lot of work for Virgin. I used to get free passes to the V concerts. And me and my girlfriend at the time used to go there, kind of thing, and we'd be at backstage and we'd see all these B and C and X celebs strutting around. Yeah, look at me, I'm famous, kind of thing. So
look at me, I was famous.
Yeah. But then you get too old. I think the the last one was Tea in the Park, and someone tipped over all the poo toilets.
Portable toilets.
Yeah, and they covered all the tents because they were on top of a hill, and all the tents were below it. And someone went down and pushed them all over in the last night.
That's horrible.
I know. So that was it.
Dear. All right, last question for my 17. This is number 17.
Yeah.
If you were to be reincarnated, what would you come back as?
Oh, God. Do you know, I wouldn't like to be an animal because humans are bastards.
Yes.
We're
yes.
incredibly cruel. A cloud.
A cloud?
Yeah.
Is that because you're full of yourself, or?
No,
I don't.
Yeah, I just. Do you know what the thing is? I wouldn't like to come. There's a part of me that wishes that humanity could be removed from this planet because we don't deserve it.
It might not be too far away, buddy.
Yeah, but on the other hand, we're capable of creating the most beautiful things and gestures of kindness beyond belief.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you know, brutality and deception and all this kind of stuff, and it's just, you know, that's why, you know, I'd probably come back as a cloud.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could think of that anyone, not even myself. You know.
Well, I said that in a couple of these, I've said, you know, I'd like to come back as my daughter's children because I'd like to see how she's developed as a parent and as a person. So
it does fascinate me that when I you know, when I look at old pictures and of Horwich and people of the Lee Lane and stuff, and they're from the Georgian times or whatever, and you see these people, you're thinking that, you know, they're dead now, but who are they and what they are, and so I find that fascinating.
Yeah,
like my niece and nephews, I'm so proud of all my nieces and nephews because they've actually grown up to be really decent human beings within reason, and they're doing quite well for themselves. A little bit selfish sometimes, you know, but you know, when you ask them, they do step up to the plate, you know. But yeah, it fascinates me, and I would have loved that to see my children growing up and
developing.
Because the thing is, I hear, you know, all my friends, you know, all our friends that we went to school with, they've all got grandchildren, kind of thing, and now it's a lot.
I know. Andy,
it's like, you lucky bugger, you know.
Andy Johnson's got grandkids.
I know.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, not that he's got them. I mean, it's scary that we're at the age where our friends are having grandchildren. I think it's great.
Andy's a nice guy, so you can imagine his kids would be nice.
He's a very, very gentle person.
Yeah, he's laid back, isn't he?
Yeah. Do you remember Tony Barlow?
Oh God, yeah.
He was very good friends with Andy prior to his passing.
Yeah, I remember seeing Tony not a year before, and I was chatting to him because we all grew up together on Hilton Estate.
Yeah,
you know, like the Dixons and the Whittinghams and all kinds of places. But yeah, that was really sad because you know, he went off on one, and you know, he had this big car with massive big wheels, and he just went on a rampage, didn't he? So, you know. But the funny thing was I remember watching his Facebook page, and you could actually see that there was things he was saying and stuff like that, and you know, you could see that, you know, and I see that all too often on Facebook where people are commenting, and it's the nature of the comments and stuff like that, and you can tell that there's underlying issues, kind of thing. Because I had a neighbour who tried to commit suicide. He tried to set his house alight, but he put his dog in the garden. Anyway, he had second thoughts and got up, fell down the stairs, That's where he hurt himself. So the fire brigade put out his thing. And I just remember, because, you know, at the back, it's open communal land. So all our neighbours, we all get together. We used to have barbecues and stuff like that. And everyone knew everyone, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he used to come down and sit on my patio and he'd have a cigarette and just chat. And
Tony or the other guy?
Sorry?
That was Tony or the other guy?
No, this other guy. And
Okay.
it's about, and I remember saying to some of the neighbours that, he was German, he was called Eino. I said, have you seen him? Because he was always out and stuff like that. And he just withdrew. And in hindsight, we've actually thought, he was actually suffering a mental illness.
Yeah.
But it's difficult, you know, to second guess some of those things. But I think you can actually see it on Facebook sometimes with people, you know.
Yeah, you can see it, like people change, you know, depression kicks in and it shows in what they're writing, right?
Well, I got it. I never ever would have thought I would have started to suffer from depression, you know. And mine was situational depression with the circumstances I was in at the time, and it was actually made worse by that situation. But yeah, it's, you know, I never would have thought that would have happened.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you know, it's difficult to actually reach out for help at that time, and I couldn't, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because you don't necessarily realize you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
You just get it's stuck in your mind. Like I've got depression. I developed it many, many years ago, and it's never left me. And I struggle, you know. I mean, to talk to me, you would never know it because I'm always laughing, I'm always smiling, always joking. I think of myself as level-headed, but my wife occasionally sees it, my daughter sees it, and they don't understand what it is because of the fact that I'm normally an upbeat guy, you know, but I keep it within. You don't necessarily see yourself slipping into these things, though. I mean,
no, the thing is, it's one of those silent things, and that's what like I said, mine was triggered by someone, and it's taken me years. And you know, I remember at the time that I knew there was something wrong because I thought to myself, I need to actually go to hospital. And that sort of, when you come to that point, you suddenly realise, don't you? It's like, oh my God, if I'm thinking these things, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And I was ready to actually take myself off to hospital, kind of thing.
Wow.
It just got that bad, kind of thing.
You're very lucky that you noticed it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with me, is I don't shy away from looking for help, kind of thing. But I've got to be 100% sure I need it before I go out, you know. It's like, you know, and I withdrew from everything for a couple of years. I withdrew from everything, you know. Some people thought I'd moved away, kind of thing. So, you know.
Yeah.
But I think when people are watching stuff reading stuff on Facebook, just try and read between the lines, and if there's a friend. And the thing is, the reality is it's only when it gets really bad that they'll seek help.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, or someone forces them to do it. And I think, you know, you just drop them a private message and ask them, is there anything that, you know, because I know quite a few lads our age that have, you know, suffered. You know, it's amazing because no one used to talk about it, but because it's becoming gradually more acceptable. Because when I first had it, I'd never in a million years tell people I suffered from depression. Never.
You wouldn't.
For me, it was a weakness.
Yeah, absolutely, it was. Yeah, if you were depressed or you had depression, they'd stalk you down, for God's sake.
Yeah. And you know, and women are easy to talk. Find it easy to talk about things, but men don't.
Yeah, because we have this embedded in us that we have to be tough and rugged and solid, and you know, it's like it's hard for me to break down and express my feelings because I hate to say this, but I grew up over there, and if you were soft over there,
Yeah.
They got you.
Well, the thing is, I was saying to my sister, and this is not a reflection on my mum. I can never remember ever being hugged by my mum. Never. Right?
Yeah.
And my mum used to send us birthday cards and Christmas cards, and she just put mum. She never said love mum or
Yeah.
a kiss or anything like that. But the thing is, my mum used to show her love in different ways, kind of thing. And you know, I posted a poster with a picture where my mum, you could never go in the house and leave without a carry bag or something, or she'd stuff toffees in your coat pocket. And
Yeah.
with her, I'd be on the train back to London. I'd go, bloody hell, what's that? I'd pull them out. There's sweets in my pocket, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So my mum she was the most generous person. She'd always put herself before everyone. We're all family. She was always last in the queue, kind of thing, you know. And
It's funny you should say that.
Everything. She did everything for us.
It's funny you should say that, because my dad was the exact same way. He never said love or anything like that. He would, like, exactly right, the same. He would sign his cards dad. And it wasn't until he got like close to the end of his life that he started putting an X as a kiss, you know. But generosity, man, this man would give you everything he had. And he wasn't happy unless he was helping somebody else. And I think I've picked up a lot of that, and that's kind of why I'm doing this. What I'm doing now is because I want, you know, people are all stuck at home. We're all experiencing this COVID thing. People are losing money because of not being able to go to work, or their businesses aren't doing as much as they were hoping because of COVID. And through this, I wanted to get messages out there to promote people, not necessarily that you're selling something, but who you are. And COVID is a bitch. And speaking of COVID and your mom, I want to, if you don't mind, touch on that. Now, COVID has hit everybody around the world, and it's not giving up anytime soon by the look of it. Now, unfortunately, last year, you lost your mom to COVID, isn't that right?
Yeah, we did. My mum had a fall at the top of the stairs. Mum had very limited mobility, kind of thing, and she was, you know, and eventually, you know, we used to go shopping. We used to take her shopping, and we'd go to Morrison's. It'd take 4 hours to go shopping because she was so stubborn. She'd want to walk around it, and it was just like little steps like that, you know, just going, you know, shuffling along. And I would say, Mum, do you want to go into the wing? No. She refused. And eventually she ended up going, because her mobility got worse and worse. And she fell and she banged her head on the wall upstairs. And because she was on blood thinners, if she bangs her head, you've got to take her to hospital for a brain scan, because it might create aneurysms or whatever.
Of course, yeah.
So while she was in hospital, they found a couple other things wrong with her. Eventually, you know, she had a stroke in hospital, and she was rushed to Salford Royal, which is a specialist stroke unit. So she was in there, and she became inaudible and stuff like that. It was horrible, you know. But you know, this was before COVID, and we're going in, seeing her every day and stuff like that. She couldn't communicate. She was out of it for most times. But we just, as a family, we all went round there. There was always someone there, you know, sat with her.
That's good.
And then eventually they moved her to Bolton Royal Hospital. Sorry. They moved her to Bolton Royal Hospital, and she was taken into their stroke unit. And what happened was she contracted COVID within the ward, unbelievably. But at that point, we hadn't seen my mum for 5 weeks because we weren't allowed to.
Right, yeah.
With the possibility of bringing in COVID into the ward. The irony was someone in that ward gave my mum COVID, you know. So we hadn't actually seen her. And the rule at the time was, if your parent or family member, whatever, was dying, you couldn't go and see them. They died alone. And it was just by sheer chance that the next room on the COVID ward was a side room, a private room. So they said to us as a family that we can allow one family member to come in. So you had to be dressed in PPE, and that's it. They could sit with my mum. So as a family, there's 5 children, my mum and dad, niece and nephews. Who do we decide to go in there? So it ended up with my sister, kind of thing. And so she went in, and she was in there for about 48 hours until my mum died. And the sad thing was they thought she had COVID symptoms on the Monday. By the Wednesday or Thursday, it was confirmed, and by the Sunday, she was dead.
That fast?
Yeah. On the Sunday previous, she'd actually just made her first tentative steps in recovery from a stroke. She was moving. She was up. She was communicating. She was slurred speech and stuff like that. But then within a week, she was dead. But my sister, it's traumatised her, and I keep saying to her she needs to go and get some counselling for it, because anyone who doesn't know what it's like to die from COVID, right? It's the most painful, excruciating death that you can think of.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah. And they were pumping drugs into my mum to try and, but they weren't working. They don't work. And you're writhing around in the bed, trying to grasp a breath of air and stuff like that, because you're actually drowning slowly on the fluids in your lungs.
Wow.
And it's just, she was peaceful until the last 6 hours. And my sister said that it was just horrible watching that kind of thing. And it's just, when you can't help someone, it's one of the hardest things. And
yeah,
I think personally, I think it's affecting my sister more than she probably want to admit, kind of thing. So, and this whole thing is, if we didn't have a stupid government, they are being reckless beyond belief, this government.
The British government?
Time and time again. Unbelievable. The reason that they were telling us not to wear masks prior to, during the first stage of COVID is because they knew they didn't have any. And what they needed was for the health professionals. So they were telling people you didn't need masks. So everyone's contaminated everyone. And it's just been one blunder after another. And they've caused tens of thousands of deaths within old people's homes because they weren't given the training or the equipment. They were sending, when COVID started and it was hitting the hospitals, they were sending the old people back to the old people's homes without being tested.
Wow.
And that in Horwich, just Horwich, all the care homes, it went through all of those were, so many elderly people died of it, kind of thing. And it's just,
sad.
But it's, my mum had a serious underlying case. And I think even if she had flu, she wouldn't have survived. But she did actually catch COVID, kind of thing. And it was a brutal death, without a shadow of a doubt. And those idiots who keep breaking the rules, right? And I call them granny killers, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
They'll be responsible for the grandparents or their parents or an auntie or uncle's death.
Yeah. I talked to my daughter about it. She's 14. Yeah. She wants to see her friends. She wants to be social. She wants to go to the mall and hang out. Well, we can't now because we've just re-entered into a lockdown here in Ontario, in all of Ontario. They're on the verge of putting a curfew. In fact, I just got a message today that said, unless you've got a specific reason, stay at home. Do not go out because you'll get charged. You'll be stopped by the police and they'll ask you, where are you going? And if they don't have a good enough, or you don't have a good enough reason, then you're getting fined.
I think that's right, kind of thing. You've got to have a reason. At the moment, they've been a bit draconian with it because the rules aren't very clear. You know, when people are being fined because they're sitting on a bench, two old ladies, you know, or someone who's got a bottle of a cup of coffee, and that's deemed as a picnic kind of thing in the park. Yeah, they fined a lady because she had a coffee walking in the park, and the police officers said that was a picnic. Obviously, that's been knocked back because, you know, obviously these police officers didn't have much brains. But I think it needs to be a bit clearer, and I think we'll probably go into that route. Spain did it. You know, you go out of your house without a reason, you get fined.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
500 euros.
you know some of the geography here in Canada. You know, Montreal, Quebec, the province of Quebec is the French-speaking part of Canada, and they are in a lockdown after, I think it's after 8 o'clock. If the cops see you out, it's hardcore fine. And you know what? They keep saying, "Oh well, we're thinking about it. We're thinking about it." Don't think about it. Do it. And for all these people, I live in an apartment building, and there was a guy got in the elevator the other day, and he had a mask on, but it was like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I looked at this guy. I said, "Your mask over your nose?" "Oh, my friend, in my country, we don't do this." I'm like, "You're here. You're in an elevator. There's 4 people in here now. Put your fucking mask on, you idiot. Like, don't be so ignorant. Sure, you don't have to wear it. That's your choice. But if you don't want to wear it, don't get into an enclosed space with people that obviously do want to wear it because they've got one on, and put them at risk because you're an asshole."
The thing is, there's, I think, all over the world, young teenagers, whatever, and young adults, at that age, you think you're invincible.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could have done, and I could have, you know, in hindsight now, I would have actually invited a camera crew into my mum's room and shown how she died.
You know what? It's interesting. Again, it's interesting that you say that. I keep saying that statement, but it is because I don't think the world really knows.
They're not letting them. Yeah, the thing is, the news media over here, they're not allowed into the wards.
Yeah.
You know, so there's people going into quiet parts of hospitals and there's no one in here, whereas about 100 feet away, there's probably 10 COVID wards kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, if you don't, you know, if you don't really want to go into hospital because so many people, you know, catch it by going into hospital kind of thing. It's just, but in our family alone, my niece and nephews have lost 4 grandmothers between them. That's just our family, you know.
Wow.
And it's just, you know, there was one after another kind of thing, you know. But there's quite a nice tale to this with my mum. Is as horrible it was when she died, unknown to us until a couple of days later, we found out that a woman who my mum used to work with at Stocks Park called People's Home in Norwich, she died the same day, but in the morning. My mum died in the evening. And they were actually in the same funeral parlour on Mason Street where we live. And our Tracy says, at least she's got a roomie. Because the idea of there being alone in there, because keeping in mind, we weren't allowed to go and see my mum. You know, when we had the funeral, it was a maximum of 10.
Yeah.
You know, we come from a big family kind of thing. And one of my brothers had to sacrifice himself so his oldest daughter, could go there. And then when the funeral, my nieces are heartbroken, and I couldn't put my arms around them. You know,
comfort them.
Yeah, to comfort them. Yeah. You know, and one of my nephews turned up, and he's a policeman, so he turned up in his full, you know, uniform, you know, ceremonial uniform kind of thing. And he was across from me, and he was so, I mean, all my nieces, you know, my niece and nephews, they were, you know, and it was heartbreaking to watch how hurt they were kind of thing, you know, and not be able to do that. But it is one of the things, and, you know, my mum, she's Scottish, right?
Yeah.
And I might have got this wrong, right? And but for my 50th, I couldn't really do anything, kind of thing. And so my mum says, "Well, come down to our house and we'll get a Chinese," kind of thing. So there was just me, my dad, and my mum and my sister. And they used to get Chinese takeaways all the time, mum and dad, when the grandchildren used to come round. And when she was told she had COVID, one of my brothers had a video chat with her or something, and she said, "Right, that's it. No more Chinese takeaways." Because my mum, she was one of the kindest people, right, kind of thing. And she never had she wasn't racist or homophobic. She just took people as they were, kind of thing. And she was from that generation. She turned 80 a few months after it. So, but yeah, I think it's such a shame. We had Christmas, first Christmas, you get over that, and then there's all these milestones. And because we've never lost a parent before, and so many friends have, you sort of don't understand it. And it's one of those few times when people can say to you, you don't understand what it's like. And all of a sudden I had a new appreciation for all my friends, that have lost parents.
Yeah.
And we lost quite a few last year and the year before. When some of them are like friends, mums and dads who are like second mums and dads to you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you can't, to understand that, and you understand that yourself, and it's strange, because we're always still little children to our parents and vice versa until they're trying to tell us something,
Yeah.
Tell you
we always know better. It's funny. I still can hear a song. My dad used to love the tune Claire de Lune.
It's one of my favorite tunes.
Beautiful tune. But I can't listen to it without crying because it reminds me of my dad. And you try to explain, like I try to explain to Heidi, not that she doesn't understand necessarily, but she's never gone through it. So she doesn't know the emotion linked to that kind of thing, right? Yeah. That you can put on a memory. And I cry like a baby every time I hear that song because it reminds me of my dad, and I miss him to this day. He was a great guy.
Funny enough, my ex-partner, I think it was a Christmas present, and it was a beautiful wooden frame, and someone had handwritten the music in there, just a few chords of it, and it was just frames of Claire de Lune.
Yeah.
And it was just because it was her favourite piece of classical music. She loved it, kind of thing. And it's a beautiful. I mean, mine's my favourite one is Lark Ascending by John Williams. And
don't know it, but
yeah, it's I always used to
Lark
Ascending.
All right, that one down for the list.
Yeah.